You know, I remember this one night I drank a bottle of whiskey and you know, I was calling friends to see if they wanted to come over. I was on my own. And I just felt like a fucking loser. Like, it will be interesting, though, if I am diagnosed as a psychopath, because that will change other people's opinion of me.
Maybe.
And all of a sudden it will be...
But maybe you'll change the opinion, the general opinion of what a sociopath or a psychopath is.
You know, when we were filming Made in Chelsea, on the surface, I cared so little about what other people thought, that you behave in ways that you know are preposterous in order to create, you know, drama for a TV show that you're in.
Spencer, welcome back to Happy Place.
I'm delighted to be here. I loved our first interview.
Me too. Our last one was really interesting because we talked a lot about your brother and about you climbing Mount Everest, or partly climbing Mount Everest, and that being, you know, a huge life moment for you. We kind of concentrated on that, but I think we've got so much more to talk about today. Of course, you're doing another mad challenge.
Yes, I am. The first major one, I suppose, last year, changed my life. I loved it so much.
What did it change?
So to recap, we've not seen each other in a while. It was 30 marathons and 30 days in the desert. People are going to get bored of me saying that now, so I need to do something else. But it was, I don't know, it was enlightening. I learned a lot about myself. I had a lot of cathartic moments. As you know, when I push myself, I feel quite close to my brother Mike. But more than that, there was a lot of camaraderie. It felt like a unique experience. I learnt that boundaries are perceptions in many ways, because there was no guarantee, obviously, of completing that or finishing it. Most people thought that it wouldn't be possible for me. Again, I'm quite competitive, so I enjoyed that about it. We were able to raise 630 grand for charities, for Globals Make Some Noise, helping about 50,000 families. It all just added up to be a really kind of monumental life experience for me. But I guess on top of that, in the final days, I realized I was doing a lot with my life professionally that I didn't love necessarily.
Like
I had a lot of podcasts at the time. They were all kind of humorous in nature. I love having a sense of humor, I think, but they weren't particularly kind of helpful. Like I guess I looked at it as, do I see myself doing this when I'm 50? I'm 37 today. I believe that to be really happily involved with the things that you're doing or making or creating or putting out, you need to love it to the point where, you know, you can just crack on and do it, you know, for years and years to come. I think that's a nice way of looking at work, isn't it? You know, being comfortable with it. And I don't know, I think I loved working with Vogue. I loved working with Jamie. But there was just something about those shows that felt a touch surface level in terms of content. Kind of, I'd come in and it would just be super light and quite funny, and that was absolutely fine. But I felt like I wanted to go into a more serious and perhaps helpful space. I actually spoke to Jake Humphrey when I was in the desert. He's a good friend of yours as well.
Yeah.
We're sat in the High Performance studio, or the Happy Place studio. It's also my studio.
I've sublet it off Jake for anyone that's wondering.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise. People don't know that.
No, it's no secret.
We do Untapped from this room as well.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time in here. And I spoke to Jake and I just said, you know, I'd love to build something that really matters to me, you know, where we explore human potential, or where we look at how we can untap more of our potential. And we started having meetings, and here we are. And that's how Untapped came to be. It was born in the desert. I really care about that project. I love doing it. And yeah, so I don't know, just a lot sort of changed, but mostly that I feel that more is possible. You know, I had a really super time.
Life feels more limitless, perhaps.
Yeah, but I also, you know, you feel very alive when you're doing these challenges. I think, you know, people who are kind enough to pay attention to what I do sometimes ask, you know, why push yourself to those extreme limits? And it's kind of, does make me feel alive. It's a real adventure every time. You know, and it's a kind of, the highs and lows are an incredible thing to witness and be a part of. The camaraderie, as I say, is great. We're about to start our latest one in about 3.5 weeks. I don't know when this comes out, but at the time of recording, in about 3.5 weeks, we set off on our latest challenge, which is a full Ironman distance triathlon, one in every continent. We start in London, then go to Arizona, Cape Town, Perth, Dubai, Rio, and Antarctica. And we're trying to do that in 21 days. The current
Which
world
would be
record
the
is
record
4
by
years.
4 years. That's insane. Yeah.
But like, I think it's all, it's, I see it as quite, we're raising money again this time for James's Place, which is a male suicide prevention charity, the founders of which are fantastic. I had them in Untapped the other day, Claire Wentworth Stanley, and her son Henry, and her son Harry, and they were just phenomenal, and the work they do is so amazing. So it gives the whole thing purpose, as well as wanting to explore my own limits.
Yeah.
I get to use my platform, I suppose, to raise money to make a real difference to men in crisis. So there's a lot going on with it each time.
Yeah.
It's not just some...
There's not one single focus. The adventure part of it I find so interesting. So this week, last week, I don't know what day of the week it is today, I went to the Royal Geographical Society to watch a talk. My really good friend, Arlen Kagger, who you would actually love, he's a Norwegian explorer in his 60s. He was the first man to do the North Pole, the South Pole and Everest unaided.
Wow.
On the planet. Like,
Amazing.
he's made history. He's full of amazing stories. And he did this hour-long talk mainly about North Pole expeditions. And it was absolutely fascinating. But right at the end, he was talking about adventure being so important, because if we sink into the mundanity of life, which we all have to, it's, you know, for large periods of our life, whether it's child rearing or you're going to work, you just got to earn a living, whatever. A lot of it is mundane. But I think some of the time we go, I'll do an adventure in the future, or like when I've retired, I'll start living. And he said what you don't want to do, obviously, is get to, hopefully, a ripe old age and look back and go, oh, that was life.
Yeah.
That was all life. And I was just waiting for the moment where I could start living. And that's why I admire these big challenges, because it is you taking life by the reins and saying, I'm going to live life to the max right now. I'm not going to delay it and put it off. Do you have that sort of sense of urgency, do you think, naturally?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you've said. I mean, you know, I feel that we're probably here once, and, you know, it is a privilege to be able to go and do these things. You know, I think when you look at my life, I am lucky. Right, I'm in a fortunate position to be able to work and even turn these things into work and be backed by brands to be able to put them on. Like, you know, I'm in a, not a unique position, but a lucky position to be able to take the time to do this kind of thing. So, you know, it's going and doing a 21-day expedition, you know, to raise money for charity is not something that people can just do, generally speaking. So I feel super fortunate, genuinely, to be able to be the person to do that, and hopefully raise significant funds doing it. But yeah, I've always been a lover of life. You know, I've loved my life for as long as I can remember. You know, that doesn't mean to say that we haven't had the odd pepperings of bad times. Obviously, losing Michael and numerous other things. I think it's not possible to constantly be happy. It's not always possible to feel motivated to go out and do the things you want to do. You know, I keep a pretty balanced view of that. But yeah, you know, I think if you're able to break out of that mold, particularly if you don't like the mold that you're in, I think it's really important. You know, I've had a number of different jobs over the years. I worked in the city for a while, mostly because I felt that my family were proud of my brothers, but not necessarily proud of me, because I was always an attention-seeking party boy who you know, drank to excess on a pretty much daily basis. And my brother James was always this beautifully morally correct, high-achieving person who was so different to me, and that created this you know, this big gap between us. And so I naturally wanted to be more like him. So I would copy him, you know, even though I didn't really feel like copying him. And, you know, ended up working in the city for 3.5 years, hated every single day of it, you know, just because I felt like that's what I had to do. So, you know, you just did the, you know, being on the tube every single morning at 6 a.m. Normal stuff, not a problem. But I didn't love the I didn't ever see a future in it.
Wasn't
so it was
for
kind of pointless doing it. You know?
Yeah. How much of that, knowing that your parents may have approved more of your siblings, still drives you today in these challenges? Any of it?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose. I think, you know, I have a really small group of people in my life by choice. Really, I know a lot of people and love a lot of people, but you know, people that I really care about, who I jump in front of a car for. Pretty
Yeah.
Not many people, you know, my wife, my family, my kids, my parents, my brother, you know, a lot of core family, and then maybe 3 or 4 close friends, you know, and I like it that way. I think those who you really love being proud of you, for me, is a big driver. You know, I think it's funny coming from a reality TV background where everyone has an opinion of you.
Yeah.
Because you have to kind of monitor that in how should I say it? It's quite easy to fall into the trap of wanting to be liked by everyone.
Impossible.
You know, and in my particular case, I went completely the other way of that. You know, when we were filming Made in Chelsea, on the surface, I cared so little about what other people thought, that you behave in ways that you know are preposterous in order to create, you know, drama for a TV show that you're in. And then you live with that for a bit. And so at the end of the day, I guess, when would it have been? A couple of years ago, maybe. I look back at it and I was like, whose opinion do I really value, right? My brother's opinion, my wife's opinion, my parents' opinion, and maybe another handful of opinions in the world. And so let's behave in ways that are admirable for them, and, you know, and for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're never going to please everyone.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's absolutely... And actually what you end up doing is diluting your personality, like, to fit everybody. And you can't. There'll always be someone that is pissed off, doesn't like you. I feel exactly the same, you know, certainly for the majority of my broadcasting career before I started podcasting, which I feel is maybe more of an experiment where people come to you because they like what you do. When you're on the BBC or ITV, you're in someone's front room. They've put the channel on and you're there. You know, there's sort of little choice. So that to me felt like a bit of a trap. Like, how do I get everybody to like me? This feels impossible. And I think towards the latter part of my broadcasting career, that's where I started to just sort of become as vanilla as I could, to not rock the boat or be too anything. I don't want to be too much, too loud, too enthusiastic. And actually, sometimes I am really enthusiastic, or I do laugh too much, or whatever. And it's like, I just can't care anymore. It's too draining. And all you can do is be the best version of yourself, whatever that is. And like you say, worry about the small pool of people that you actually do give a shit about.
Yeah. I think there's nothing better than feeling that you're doing the right thing by them.
Yeah.
You know? And I think if in my particular case, you know, I lived with a lot of shame when I was drinking excessively. You know, I interviewed Ulrika Johnson in here, and it was...
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But I thought it was amazing as well. Not my part in it, but her...
She was great.
Her honesty, her openness, her candidness. And actually that interview came about because... BBC News, I think it was, read an excerpt of her essay that she wrote about being sober for a year, and her experience almost exactly mirrored mine.
Really?
Right? She was
Wow,
talking
yeah.
about kneeling in a cupboard underneath the stairs, having shots of rum in the morning, out of sight, out of view from everyone, knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And I've been there with that, you know, having shots of whiskey or tequila in the morning, you know, just like putting a bottle somewhere that, you know, nobody ever goes in the house, and just kind of wandering down there and having a quick shot in the morning. You know, it's terrible behavior. You know, I'm a father, and well, I mean, less so. It was kind of just thinking about that. I'm a father of 3, and therefore I would like to avoid that behavior now if I can. That kind of behavior was pre-kids, but it's kind of... I associated so much with, like, it really resonated with me. So I reached out to her and I said, please, can we talk about this on my show? Because you know, I've had the identical experience to you, and it would be an amazing opportunity to be able to talk about it. And what came out of it was this deep sense of shame, and carrying around the shame and the lies that come with it. You know, like, have you been drinking today? No, of course I haven't. And you kind of like, you're almost, you know that either the drink or the smell or something has given it away, but you feel so embarrassed about the fact that you've had this early drink that you kind of immediately lie about it, and you're lying to the people who love you the most, because some random person's not really going to care. They don't love you enough to ask that question. So I don't know. It was an interesting. I can't really remember what we were talking about.
Who cares? It's very interesting.
But
I'm interested in the shame part, right? You know, we talk quite a lot about shame here. We had a really great interview recently with Charlie Mackesy, and a lot of it was about shame. Not to do with alcohol, it was to do with just sort of general shame that so many of us carry it. I carried it around for years, and I'm sort of slowly unpicking that. Do you still feel it today, even though you're not drinking excessively and drinking in the morning? Have you managed to move through it, get through it?
Yeah, so gladly that brings me back to what I just forgot. So it's perfect. No, I don't feel a sense of shame anymore.
That's amazing.
And that ended with the 30 marathons. So the crossing the finish line that day, on the 27th of August last year, a lot of that shame vanished kind of in that moment. And
because what, you proved to yourself that you were better than you thought? Or?
Yeah, just I don't know what it was about that moment. It was just kind of like, from the shots of whiskey in the morning to completing a world first, you know, on quite a big stage. You know, we'd hammed it up a fair amount to the point where failure would have been really
so
grim.
Bad.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't mind failing either, but it's like, it was actually, I'd put quite a lot of pressure on myself with that one, because, you know, we'd done press and PR and a big fundraise, and we'd raised loads of money, and it was kind of like, if I roll my ankle on the first day, this is going to suck so badly.
Yeah.
And I had niggles on the first day that I'd never felt before, and the first day was probably the hardest day, and I was thinking, fuck, like, you know, like, what, like, I can't do another 29 of these. And anyway, thankfully, you know, said a few prayers to Mike, etc., and everything just like loosened up and became easier. Thank God, because 29 days of day one another 29 days of day one wouldn't have been possible. But anyway, there was this. It was a real sense of achievement, you know, and for somebody who has felt a lot of shame and who, in reality, hadn't achieved much. Right.
Well, I've heard you call your past self a loser.
Yeah. Well, I did feel
yeah.
like a loser. And I think, you know, you can beat yourself up all you want. You can't change the past. And I'm delighted with my past in a way, because it's brought me to the person I am today. And I'm far happier with who I am today than I was then. And there's plenty left to go. You know, I love learning. I love growing. I love life as an experience. And I think it's interesting to hit those moments where you feel like a loser and you feel shit about your behavior. And, you know, I remember this one night I drank a bottle of whiskey, and you know, I was calling friends to see if they wanted to come over. I was on my own. Vogue was away filming something, working, doing really well, you know, being this person that everyone adores and everyone loves. And I just felt like a fucking loser. Like, I felt like a fucking loser. Like, and I knew that I would lose her as well if I lose her, if I carried on. But I kind of carried on anyway. And I was calling my friends, and like, you know, slurring down a phone, do you want to come around? Like, everyone's just saying, no, mate, like it's Tuesday night or whatever. And eventually one of my friends came around and took one look at me and put my arm over his shoulder, walked me to my bedroom, lay me down, and left.
That's a good friend.
Well, at the time, I was just like, what has just happened? Like, this is so embarrassing. So when you take feelings like that and moments like that in your life to then cross this finish line, having lost 11 kilos, you know, hammering through the Jordanian desert for 30 straight days to, you know, to make a big difference for kids who really need it. Of course, it's this big feeling of like, you know, I did it and I knew I can do it and I've done it, you know, and like that feeling was one of the best feelings of my life, you know, aside from having children, meeting Vogue, you know, I mean, just like a personal experience.
Yeah.
You know, it was tremendous.
So when you're in that frame of mind where you feel like a loser, and I'm not saying any of this with judgment, we've all had moments that we can look back and we can regret, or we know we've made shitty decisions or whatever it might be. I think what you just said is really important. Learning to find peace with that earlier version of yourself is integral to find self-compassion today. I used to bury old versions of myself, like not looking, la 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 la, like all the era where people used to put in magazines, Fearne Cotton rock chick, like I couldn't even think about that version of myself. I've created this sort of like weird gargoyle-esque creature with like black eyeliner and like rocky hair and a leather jacket. And I'm like, I reject you. And actually, no, I can't. Like, I have to go, thank you for all the things you did that have led me to where I am today. And the more I rejected her, the more I found it so difficult to like myself today. And I think that integration of the old version of yourself with the one today is so important. It's not like I'm a better version today. It's like, no, that's the best I could do at that time. And that's really important. But when you're in that frame of mind and you feel like a loser and you're like, everything's going wrong, obviously it's very easy to slip into victim mentality. Like, my life is bad, or I'm drinking because of this and it's this person's fault, or there's some level of blame. It's very hard to get out of that. What was the wake-up call that switched your mindset?
Blame is a really good word. Most people who feel like they're suffering blame somebody else. And that's a really important point. I did that when I had an agent who you will no doubt know called John Knoll.
Yeah.
And he was hilarious. Like, I love John Knoll. I genuinely get a kick out of, bumping into John Knoll every so often. I think he's a wonderful man. And we're no longer working together. But I have a deep respect for him because he's brutally honest, and he says it how it is, and he's a legend. I think he's amazing. He said to me one day, "You're drinking too much, and I'm struggling to get you work because you're drinking like a fish." And I go straight to, well, maybe he's a shit agent. He's not a shit agent, obviously. He's looking after tons of like the equivalent of A-list talent over here. So I start listening to him, and he tells me to go and chat to his friend Chip Summers. And I have told this story before, so I'll make it brief just in case people have heard it, but I'll tell it quickly.
Consider it.
Yeah, just sorry, we're podcasters. But anyway, long story short, he sent me to see this guy Chip Summers, who specialises in addiction.
I've met Chip.
Have you?
Yeah, through Davina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
He was very helpful to Davina as well. And I went to see him. I didn't have a drink the night before on purpose, just because I wanted Chip to report to John that there was nothing wrong with me, and
right.
that, John was wrong, type thing. And I walked into Chip's office, and he goes, "You reek of whiskey." And I was like, "Ha, like, no, I don't. I haven't had a drink," type thing. And he was like, "When was the last time you did drink?" I was like, "Yesterday, during the day." And he was like, "You must be drinking a lot." I was like, "I drink." He's like, "Do you drink every day?" I was like, I drink most days. And he goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, big problem. I was like, no, it's all right. Like, I do just fine. And he was like, "I'm going to have to tell the next person that comes in this room that I haven't been drinking because you smell so bad."
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And we started having a chat, and I really liked Chip. And anyway, long story short, I did 6 months of total abstinence, and it was one of the best 6 months of my life. Like, I just loved it. And
Very hard at first?
Not as hard as I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Like, because it doesn't take long to realize how nice it is to have a clear mind and be free of alcohol. And there was a specific relationship with Chip where I wanted to impress him. It became this thing where we agreed to meet every week at the same time. So there was 7 days between the meeting, 7 days in a week. And
you're going to sing a Craig David song, please.
Yeah. And he said, and every time I would show up bright and bushy tails, we'd agree to do another 7 days. And it became this thing that even if I felt like having a beer, I'd be like, "Oh no, I really want to be able to have that moment with Chip again."
Wow.
And it was great and really cool. And, but I would blame John. I would blame others. I would blame Mike's death. I would blame all kinds of stuff. Like my lack of empathy today comes from all kinds of things. But it's, it's taking that blame away from others. It's very rarely other people's fault that you're feeling a certain way. And in the rare occasion of somebody doing something that's so terrible, that it has a dramatic effect on you, which is obviously, you know, they have an impact on you. Usually these feelings of, you know, dread and pain are coming from something within yourself.
Yeah.
And blaming others is an easy way out.
So do you know where your pain was coming from? If you're not to blame circumstance or other people, what was forcing you to drink every day?
I wasn't forced to drink every day. I enjoyed it, firstly. And I knew what I was doing. It's only really in the kind of last days in the lead up to going, right, like this has to end, where I did feel a lack of control, you know, where it was more kind of like, oh God, I know it's a bad idea to have a drink now, but I can't stop myself, you know. And that's what you hear about in AA, and this lack of ability to control things and being powerless over your actions. I actually, at the risk of sounding controversial, kind of disagree with that as not AA as a model, but this lack of control. I believe deep down we have an ability to control the way that we behave. That I believe to be true. AA helps millions of people, save millions of lives, but this idea that you have absolutely no power over what you put in your mouth, it's never sat very well with me, but that's because I suppose I like to think that I am in control.
Do you believe you're an addict?
Yeah, I think so. I don't. I think it's not a great word, to be honest, because I think you hear the word addict, you feel like, you know, you think of somebody on a park bench, you know, who hasn't slept in days and who's just waiting for a fix. That's how I picture an addict. Even I think it's pretty complicated, to be honest, and I think it's quite an unhelpful label.
Yeah.
People who even may feel that they are addicts tend not to seek help because they don't want to label themselves an addict. Do I have an addictive nature? Absolutely. Like, am I addicted to drugs and alcohol? No, because I can go years without drinking, and I have done. You know, I recently did 7 months of no drinking. It's my wife's 40th birthday party tonight. I'll probably have a couple of drinks.
Oh, it's her 40th tonight.
It's her 40th party tonight.
Happy birthday, Vogue.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I have a different relationship with it now. And actually, coming back to your question about shame, which was really interesting, I know that tonight I'll probably have 2 or 3 margaritas, and then I'll pump the brakes and I'll stop, because I know what happens if I don't.
Yeah.
Right? I have kids to look after. I have businesses to run.
Hangover with kids is
it's
no joke.
But I am able to do that, which is great, because, you know, there was a point in my life where I really felt like I might not be able to do that, and that total abstinence might be the only route for me. And I think total anything, like on off, is a shame. You know, I think if you can eat really healthily but eat unhealthily sometimes, that's obviously better than, you know, always eating unhealthily. I see alcohol as similar to food, by the way. So, like, you know, obviously I do an awful lot of training, and, you know, I try and live a really fit, healthy life, but I'll eat a really shit meal every so often. Yeah. That's kind of similar to having a beer to me.
Yeah, just finding the balance in it. So has some of that addictive nature moved to the world of challenges? Is that the new addiction? Pushing yourself? Yeah. Yeah,
I think so. I think you're, you know, if you are the kind of person that has had problems with drink or drugs, if you're able to stop drinking and taking drugs, you will want to channel that energy into other things, whether that be, you know, kids if you have them, business if you want to start one, fitness, gymming, you know, lifting weights. You will find that you want to channel all of this fresh energy into something else. People say that to me like it's an insult. Not you, but like, so, you know, I have people sometimes saying, oh yeah, well, like, you know, you only run this much because, you know, you don't drink anymore, so now you're addicted to running. It's like, yeah, so what? Like, yeah,
it's kind of great.
Good. Yeah. No, so I don't really care if I'm really into pushing myself or if I'm addicted to pushing myself. Those things are the same to me. You know, it's not, you know, I'm obsessed with lots of things.
How are you on the flip side with deep rest? Because all of us need it, probably more than we care to believe. I, at the moment, feel so tired. And I know I've been sort of juggling a lot with the kids and work and pushing myself. And I'm in this habit, or I have been the last few weeks of, if I've got a moment before school pickup or whatever to have a bath or rest, I'm like, no, you've got emails to do. You must complete the tasks. I'm like a robot.
Yeah.
And I need to have like 2 days of nothingness. And I'm going to allow myself to do that this weekend.
You must do it.
I know, but I think if you're used to pushing yourself, go, go, go. I love doing. I am a real doer, and I have to really force myself to stop and go, no, you're allowed to like sit and watch a shit film for a bit, or just do absolutely fuck all. I find it mentally sometimes really hard to get myself to that place. Are you good at giving yourself a break?
Yeah.
You are?
I am quite good at that, yeah. So Vogue's not. Vogue is the same as you.
Yeah.
So, we're both pretty busy, and Vogue, if Vogue has a day off, she'll like reorganize all the kids' clothes.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah,
God,
fucking great.
you couldn't pay me. And I'd mess it up.
I feel so mentally cleansed after a cupboard clear out.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
I love
it. So she's pretty similar, but you'll never catch her just like sitting down reading a book.
Yeah.
She reads at night and we get into bed and stuff, but we get into bed at night like everyone. Yeah. But no, she is she struggles with that. I think she gets like mum guilt and guilt during the day if she feels like she should be working when she's not. The reality of my situation is, I have a few businesses, and obviously right now at this particular time of talking to you, I've got a ton going on. We've got Untapped stuff, Clean Co stuff, new formulations coming out, new fundraise happening. Untapped's going really, really well. It's exciting and interesting. Lots of mistakes being made across both of those businesses.
Oh God,
but that's great fun and important. Traveling around interviewing people. We're filming a new TV show called Am I a Psychopath? We've got plenty happening. Project 7, obviously, with the fundraise for James's Place, but also these 7 Ironman distance triathlons and all the training that comes with that. So my plate is as full as I want it to be.
Insane.
I could fill a 24-hour day with 24 hours of work if I
So where's the
had
rest?
To. I ordinarily, it's a strange time to be asking me this, because normally I sleep for 8 hours roughly every night.
Pretty good sleeper.
I'm the kind of guy that I sleep better than my children. I put my head down and I'm asleep.
Lucky sod.
No, I know. Really lucky. The last 4 nights, it's come out of nowhere. I suddenly understand what people are talking about.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
So 4
Well,
nights
you can't
ago,
get to sleep?
4 nights ago, had a normal work day. I'm not under any unusual amounts of stress, by the way. I have a lot that could be deemed stressful happening all of the time.
But you're coping.
I am quite used to it though.
Yeah.
Like I do find pleasure in, pushing it and being on the brink of pain or whatever you want to call it, or all these shows. But I'm kind of it doesn't bother me at all really. I'm pretty calm about the whole thing. Get into bed. This is 4 nights ago, and I lay down. And I'm just I'm wide awake. I shut my eyes to go to sleep, normal stuff. It's almost like when I shut my eyes, they're still open, right?
I know that feeling.
Genuinely, you may as well not even try.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm trying
it's
to go
almost
to sleep.
more effort to have them closed.
Yeah. You're making an effort to shut your eyes. And I was just okay, so this is strange. So I read a book for about half an hour. Same thing. I was like, what is going on? I put the TV on. Watch something, and I'm lying there, and it's now 11:30, and I'm just
late.
I'm just what is going on? Normally I'd be flatlining by 11:30.
You literally
right?
REM, you're there. Yeah.
And no, nothing. I fell asleep at 4. Couldn't sleep, and I'm tossing and turning and getting a bit. And Vogue's literally just babe, will you go and sleep downstairs? I was just go and what downstairs? Sleep? That's the thing of the past. Anyway, so literally so I went downstairs, nothing on, no screens, nothing. Pitch black room. I'm lying in bed and I couldn't sleep for hours. And I was what the fuck is happening? What is happening?
Yeah.
No alcohol, nothing. I'm just okay. So anyway, so I eventually fall asleep at 4, had to get up at 6, slept for 2 hours. And I was just that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. Obviously I've had sleepless nights when we used to go out all the time.
Yeah, and you got newborn babies and all the usual stuff.
Nothing was getting in my way at all, right? I hadn't had late coffee, nothing, 0. Same thing happened the following night. So I had a full day of work, and I got into bed.
I hate this for you.
No. I've still not shaken it properly. So I got into bed, and I was just oh my fucking God, I'm not going to be able to fall asleep again. And
because you've got the paranoia about it.
No, I know. And it's terrible. But I used to be that guy when people would say this to me, and I'd be like, mate, just shut your eyes and go to sleep. Like, shut up. like literally. No, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And I had a better night. I still fell asleep at about 1 and got up at 6.
What's
so
going
it's
on?
2 hours, then 5 hours. And then I had to go up to Liverpool. I was interviewing Mike Murray, who's an amazing CEO, by the way. He's the CEO of Fraser's Group, youngest CEO in the FTSE 250 or something.
Wow.
He's a pretty impressive dude. And I interviewed him, and in the hotel room, again, couldn't sleep. And I got some sleep. I got 6 hours sleep again, but I don't like this.
No.
I'm not into it at all.
No. What's going on?
I don't know. I'm going to speak to a therapist. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing, because I would understand if you were lying in bed and your mind was racing, or you were really worried about something, or really nervous. I'm not nervous about anything. I'm not frightened about anything at the moment. I don't have any fear of something happening. It could be the Ed Gein Netflix thing.
What's that?
The Ed Gein story on the monsters.
Oh no, see, I can't watch stuff like that.
No, but okay. So for the listeners, if you haven't watched, okay, so they made the Dharma documentary.
Right.
I love a serial killer documentary.
I don't.
Oh, I love it. I'm kind of fascinated by it.
No.
No,
I can't even watch anything sort of mildly negative. It needs to be either factual and sunny, or funny, or romantic. Otherwise, no, thank you.
Okay, so I could watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and go straight to bed. Genuinely, couldn't care less. Right, Vogue is the opposite. If she saw a single frame of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, she wouldn't sleep all night.
Yeah. Okay. Me and Vogue should be married.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm getting a vibe that you're very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Ed Gein story. Sorry, this probably isn't in your notes or relevant to the interview, but it is worth mentioning. It is the most. I've never seen anything like it on a screen in my life. I've never seen anything like it
I'm definitely
in my
not
life.
watching it.
I don't understand how it is legal. It comes obviously with an age 18, but 18's far too young to be watching this. I think you need to be 50, right, to watch this thing. It's the most depraved thing I've ever seen. The gore in it is remarkable. You think they'll cut away. They don't. You see the whole thing.
Oh.
He's full necrophilia scene, everything.
No.
It's
So it could be that.
I think it might. I don't even want to admit it, but I think it might be. You
can't unwatch it.
I sometimes am lying in bed and when I can't sleep, and I just see a chainsaw going through someone's head,
okay.
and I'm okay,
I think
maybe it's.
You shouldn't have watched it. I think you shouldn't. Can we watch
Charlie Hunnam.
lots of Emily in Paris to cancel it out or
he's
something?
Gorgeous. Not as Ed Gein, obviously, but Charlie Hunnam is. I mean, you have the power to get Charlie Hunnam in here. You absolutely should. He's phenomenal. I love Charlie Hunnam.
Okay, I don't know what to say about this sleep thing.
Tremendous performance.
We need to talk to a therapist about this.
I think
it's
so.
not good. Before your challenge, this is not ideal for you. This is not ideal.
No. I went and hammered a particularly hard track session the other day, one that would put me in bed early type thing.
Yeah.
A real, I can't go any further.
Yeah.
Vomiting at the end of the session, even though I didn't have anything to throw up type thing. Full
pelt.
Full pelt rinsing on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that my
slept.
body went, got into bed.
Nothing.
No.
Spencer. Okay, we're going to sort this out. Look, I sleep better now. I'm still not great, but back in the day, I didn't sleep. I just used to lie there all night worrying about everything. And like you say, closing my eyes was full of effort. It was laborious to shut my eyes. Yeah. It can be fixed. Okay. We're going to make this work.
I think, I hope so. It's... I sympathise now.
Yeah.
You'll notice I didn't use the word empathise because I don't really understand empathy. I sympathise with those that can't sleep.
Yeah, I know
Jesus Christ.
we can't really talk about the Psychopath show, can we? I don't think.
I think we can. We're allowed to touch on it, are we not? That it exists and.
Well, I'd seen you doing it online, but then I was told we can't talk about it.
Oh.
But you're doing a test to find out if you are one.
Yeah, I'm interested in psychopathy.
Yeah.
I'm not
We had a sociopath on Happy Place. It was the most interesting conversation I've ever had. She's called Patrick Gagney.
Yeah, God, I love her
She's the
book.
most... correct. It's the best book. So I chatted to her and it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So you have an inkling you might be a sociopath? Because psychopath's a whole other bag of onions.
actually very little is known about psychopathy.
Yeah.
There's plenty of books about it and stuff, lots of contrasting opinions. Jeffrey Dahmer was famously not a psychopath.
Yeah.
And he's a big serial killer. It's not as simple
Just
as
egg.
it's not as serious as you're a serial killer, therefore you're a psychopath.
Yeah,
or you're a really nasty, horrible person, you must be a psychopath. There exists in the world incredibly beautiful, lovely psychopaths.
And sociopaths. This is what Patrick said.
People who are incredible parents, really dedicated business people who are never horrible to anyone, who are psychopaths. The standard traits of a psychopath are that you lack empathy, that you associate with like a predatory animal, that you see other humans as being kind of weaker or less than you. But as ever, there's a sliding scale of all of these things. I don't look at humans and think, "Ha ha, you're weak." I don't, that's not in me. I do lack empathy.
Have you always lacked empathy?
Yeah.
You can't remember a time where you felt empathetic.
I can sympathise with certain situations. I don't fully understand the concept of empathy.
See, I'm the direct opposite. I have drowned in empathy to the point where I've become, like a saver. Like I have to save people, which actually I've learned recently from reading Elizabeth Gilbert's book is not a good thing to do. Stop trying to save people. They don't need saving, or they need to learn big lessons and go through things without you meddling. But I used to find other people's pain so excruciating that I would sort of hijack it or like jump into it with them to try and do something about it.
I completely dismiss it.
Wow.
So like I wouldn't even register. Like I really like and admire you. If you were to say to me, I'm having these huge problems with this and that, I would just be like, that sucks. I wouldn't understand how to.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So you've started filming?
Yeah, we've began filming, and also this question of whether or not I'm a psychopath is embedded in the film, but
it's not the whole point of it.
I want to explore psychopathy as a whole. I want to chat to really interesting people who are psychopaths.
Yeah.
I want to do just a deep dive into the subject. I, like you, loved Patrick's sociopath book.
So good.
I love John Ronson's book, The Psychopath Test.
Yeah.
I'm speaking with. I think I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that.
Maybe speaking to him.
I could potentially be speaking to him.
That's so exciting.
So I love the conversation generally.
Yeah.
And also I am very aware of certain traits that I have that make me different to lots of people. Yeah. So I'm interested to explore that.
It's so interesting.
On Sunday I have a 6-hour test.
Do you know what it involves? Like what you have to do?
It's just, I believe it's just a conversation. Like you can do these tests online, by the way, for 20 minutes, and they're kind of multiple choice.
Right.
On any given day, you can say something else. I think with the idea of this is you have a chat with a psychologist, and he assesses your answers based on your behaviour in the meeting.
I cannot wait to watch this.
Good. No, I think more than anything, it's not so much about me, although there will be revelations about me, I'm sure, in it. I'm hoping that those that love me, the small group that I was telling you about, regardless of the outcome of this thing, probably won't change their opinion because they know me.
They know you.
It will be interesting, though, if I am diagnosed as a psychopath, because that will change other people's opinion of me.
Maybe.
And all of a sudden it will be...
But maybe you'll change the general opinion of what a sociopath or a psychopath is.
I think that's the big hairy shiny goal.
Yeah.
Hairy shiny?
Hairy.
That's the big hairy goal, right? So that's the idea.
Yeah.
Is to get people to be less immediately judgmental
and scared
of these interesting psychologies. Because actually it is really interesting.
Of course
I think at the moment psychopath is used as a very derogatory insult.
Exclusively
he sounds like a psychopath. It's kind of like, well, actually a lot of very interesting people are psychopaths.
Yeah, I think Patrick has done an amazing job. If anyone listening to this hasn't read her book or listened to the episode of Happy Place, do go back, because I think she's dispelling all of those myths by being a loving mum with friends and a sister that, they adore each other, and interesting career. It's all completely possible and fascinating.
You'll be pleased to know that I saw absolutely no similarities between myself and Mr. Geen.
Okay, thank God. Hence the lack of sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe I'm normal. I can't sleep because I've watched that thing.
Exactly. You're so normal.
I didn't watch him and go,
that looks good. That looks fun.
I'm into that.
Yeah. We had your great friend and my very good friend, Jamie Lang, on the podcast literally days ago. I'm not sure the sort of order of these episodes and how they're going out, but we had such a lovely chat. And we talked about Made in Chelsea, and we talked about everything that I said a moment ago, me trying to not reject earlier versions of myself. He feels like he's at a place where he can own the Made in Chelsea thing. He's like at peace with it, feels quite celebratory about it, actually, that it's been a big launch pad for him. Yeah. He assumed you wouldn't feel the same.
I regret parts of it. Not that you can change it. I see life slightly differently to Jamie. I think that if people give their full attention to something, that they can achieve things regardless of. I don't see it as a huge launch platform for me, to be honest. I see it as something that I've had to almost dispel. So I don't look back at it wholeheartedly with dread. You know, like I really enjoyed the first couple of series, for example. I thought it was original and interesting and new and, you know, and fun and cool. And actually the scenes were quite real and it all felt cool. And also, obviously, it was very successful, you know, which at the time came as a surprise, I think, to us. You know, genuinely, I believed be great to do a series of this and then go and be a TV presenter. Right. Because, you know, it'd be great to get my face out there a bit, you know, experience a bit of fame potentially. And then when the thing crash and burns,
come and nick my job.
You know, I'll come and you know, try and present This Morning or something. I don't know. You know, that was the thought process at the time. Not that I would ever have had the skill to present This Morning, but that was the thought process at the time. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of grew arms and legs, and it was pretty toxic, I have to say, at times, you know, because there was a lot that you were saying, doing that didn't feel real at all, you know, and all of a sudden that's strange because some people think it is real. Some cast members think it is real and others know it's not. And it just feels like this big disjointed, quite toxic machine then where people's lives and feelings and emotions are being tugged on by producers, you know, for your entertainment. And, you know, I'm really lucky to have my nature. You know, I'm pretty thick-skinned and, you know,
I think you've got to be in a show like that.
Chuck stuff at me and it will just slide off my back. You know, if I read some insanely horrible comments about me, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, although I might nowadays. But then I couldn't have cared less. Genuinely, I couldn't have given a shit.
I find that fascinating because, again, I care too much. I'm writing a book about this at the moment, about how bothered we are about how much other people like us.
That's amazing. That's great. I could look forward to reading that.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying. It's been hugely. It's come at the right time for me. This idea. I came up with this idea in the thick of healing from sort of people pleasing and all of this kind of thing. But I think to be on a very prominent reality TV show, it's very hard unless you've got a suit of armour on, because you are being. I mean, any sort of one in the public eye at a young age is being hurled all sorts of commentary they might not want to hear. So you do have to learn how to sort of bat it away. Do you feel you've got more of an issue with the show itself or that version of you? Or did it accentuate that version of you, maybe?
It absolutely accentuated that version of me. I'd do things on purpose that I knew were wrong because we were filming. And then I'd kind of go back to my normal life and have dinner with my mum, you know, and just be like, hopefully a nice son to her. You know, it was kind of, the whole thing was very strange. You'd shoot an argument with someone at a bar, and if you dominated that argument and that conversation, won easily, but it didn't fit the storyline, they would change it by like, you'd rap and you'd leave, and then the other person would film saying something that they didn't really say to somebody else, and then they'd cut it into the scene and they'd just show a reaction shot of you not saying anything. So the episode would come out and you'd go, what? Like, that didn't happen. So like the whole thing is just, you know, a shame. And it was just like, as I say, it was great at times. We got to do extraordinary things. We got to travel the world. And, you know, Jamie and I had a very turbulent time, but we spent, you know, 3 months living together in New York, filming Made in Chelsea, New York. Awesome experiences for young people. I'm not whinging. And, you know, as far as biting the hand that fed me goes, I'm not biting it. I just look back at it sometimes and think, I wish I had done certain things differently. I think as a platform, it's a great platform. As a show, it's not the most exciting thing to me. You know, I don't watch reality TV and never have, right? So I personally don't really understand why you would ever engage in, oh, look at these like kids running around doing nothing. You know,
I love a bit of reality.
Do you? I don't.
It just helps my brain switch off big time. Like the Kardashians, I'm like, bring it on. Let me see which tie Kris Jenner's wearing today. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it because I don't have to use my brain. I'm just like imbibing someone else's life. Heaven.
I think that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Helping you switch off.
Yeah.
Bubblegum.
Yeah. There's a place for all of it.
That's fine. I think in the environment that we were in, it was taken very seriously.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
the storylines were really serious, and I was more with you, just thinking like, no one cares about this. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, oh, I wasn't invited to Pinky's party. Who gives a fuck? It's not even a real party. Who cares? Like, you know, it's kind of like the whole thing is just a job. Like, we turn up and then we clock out, we get paid. You know, it's like I saw it as very similar to ICAP. You know, like I would turn up, or I'd do my job, I would leave. You know, and then your real life starts. And that's what it was. Like, to me, it wasn't real.
Yeah.
You know, you're spending a lot of time with people that you wouldn't really spend time with. That's not a diss to them at all. They just weren't my kind of real friends, I suppose. I don't know. Jamie and I have had a long, interesting relationship, I suppose. It's a lot of people are interested in my relationship with Jamie.
Yeah.
It's we've known each other for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 22 years. So, you know, highs, lows.
Of course.
I have a huge amount of respect for Jamie. I think Jamie is incredible at many things. You know, we have had our problems.
Yeah.
You know, as a relationship, we're like brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. When you're as tightly bonded as we are, you're gonna fall out. You're gonna have big fallouts like brothers do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. This isn't some superficial relationship where you let things slide type thing. You know, we for many years were joined at the hip, like, you know, brothers.
Yeah.
So that's what brings. It's the same as like married couples who love each other so deeply that you have these big, you know, fiery arguments that you don't have with other people. It's because you love each other so much, because it matters, right? Like the conversation matters. Similar with me and Jamie.
Yeah, it's lovely. And it's honest, and that's what we all like seeing. That's why it is interesting and people are intrigued. Hey, Spencer, before we wrap up, I would like to ask you, where is your happy place?
Oh, with the kids. Mm-hmm. I love, well, it depends. God, there are ages.
You're like, maybe not with the kids.
They're pretty, actually, hang on. Sometimes with the kids. No, honestly, when the kids are
in bed.
Yeah, asleep. Yeah. No, so I'm trying not to bash the boys. The boys are different to my girl, right? So Gigi is calm, loving, sweet, like loves cuddling, loves kissing, comes into daddy in the middle of the night, gets on my chest, like snuggles into me.
Heaven.
Sweet little kind of Princess Leia buns, like great big fat chops, like, you know, just like
heaven.
she genuinely is she's my comfort blanket. The boys are less affectionate, which is fine. They're a bit more like Vogue. Vogue isn't one for, like, you know, hand-holdy, kissing,
oh, right,
cuddling.
Okay.
We are affectionate, but like she's like, I could hold her for a good like few minutes in the morning, whereas, like, you know, 20 seconds is probably okay for her.
Right,
got you. Like in the morning type thing. Especially if we haven't brushed our teeth.
Yeah.
So I love all of my children equally, but there is I have this bond with my daughter. I think it's fairly normal as well. You hear about the daddy-daughter thing. Like, that is a real thing. If you're a guy listening to this who wants to have sons, like, for whatever reason, right? When I wanted to have kids, I always wanted I wanted 3 boys. I don't know why. It's just a thing. And we were actually told that Gigi was a boy. Right? I don't know why. But so we had a boy, and then having another boy, and then we found out before the birth that she was a girl, and a little part of me was like, oh, you know, I wanted my little crew of boys. She is like the fact that we have a girl is just the most and all of my friends now who are having kids, who are having a girl, I'm just like, you're so lucky, because the bond's tremendous. So we snug a lot. That's a happy place for me. So at night I'll hold her for a good 20 minutes before bed. In the morning, even when they're like getting ready for school, I'll pick her up and put her on my chest while everyone's having breakfast. Which
heaven.
So snugs is I love a snug. I'm very tactile.
Yeah,
I love a snug. Sometimes our youngest is quite like it's my 7-year-old. I've kind of missed the snug window. He doesn't like a snug. He gives me his forehead.
Yeah, you won't get that now. I mean, my 12-year-old, I'm not even allowed to say goodbye at the school gates. It's just, I have to ignore him.
I'll go for a kiss on his cheek, right? To give him a big kiss on the cheek. I get the forehead.
Yeah. That only gets worse.
I don't want the forehead. Anyway, so I still have it with my daughter, so I cherish that. Happy place. St. Bart's is a happy place for me. Yeah.
Never been. Looks gorgeous.
It's beautiful. It's kind of... I've seen it in all its iterations. So I grew up there. So when I was 6, we moved there, and it was nothing like it is today. It's just a kind of hidden gem in the Caribbean, all overgrown, lots of stray cats and cockroaches, and palm trees that are bending over double in the wind and stuff. But it was a very special place, and I spent a lot of my childhood on that Caribbean island. Nowadays you go and it's all super swanky, super high-end A-listers and yachts everywhere, but it never used to be like that. And both have their cool parts, but I love that island. There's something about that island that when we touch down and get out of the plane and it's 32 degrees, really hot wind.
When the heat hits you, there's nothing better. I love that.
And you get off and just on that first time your feet go into the sand and stuff, and just I love that island. I feel like it's home, like that's home to me.
Dreamy.
So yeah, there are a couple of happy places.
Well, they both are gorgeous, and I want to wish you all the luck with your crazy next challenge.
Thank you.
You're going to nail it, obviously, and then I can't wait to see this documentary you're making. Some very exciting projects. I love it.
Thanks so much, Fearne, for having me on a second time. Real pleasure, as always, and see you soon.
Thank you.